Hey guys, what's up? I'm Daryl, we're Adamson Auto Body, and in this one I'm going to show you how we buff a car up. So, what I've been doing here, I've been using some fine grit paper there, as you can see. Now I've gone from coarser to fine to get to that finish, and I'm pretty happy at the moment. That's very good. That should come up good with a buff. We'll just see on the car when I buff that across that spoiler, or Mick will, how good that will come up. But we'll walk around this Rana and I'll point out a couple of little edges and things that we have to be super careful on, because you'll get that quarter panel up there, for instance. If we cut that too much, when we go to buff that, we're going to burn through. So we've got to be very careful when we do this on the car, because if we take too much meat and we hit that with a buff, that's instantly destroyed and that's a repaint. And these Tiranas have got some tricky little lines and corners to watch out for. That's a fairly crisp line, and these door edges, and especially up through here, if we cut too much off the car, when we buff that, as I said there a minute ago, we're in some deep poo, if you like, and we don't want to go there. So on this car, we're being super careful. As I just showed, the finer grits we're using, and at the moment I'm on a 3000 grit, so we don't ruin the buff procedure with the car. So what we need to do now is finish that procedure on the whole Tirana, and when we're happy, with the the smoothness or the finish on that paint, we can then start the buffing procedure. So once it is buffed and we use the right compounds, that car will come up absolutely just brilliant. That's what we're trying to achieve at the moment, but we have to be very mindful right through to get that finish. So hopefully now, and I'm pretty sure when it's buffed, this car, the way we do it, will come up absolutely beautiful. So you'll get some tips and tricks in this episode as we buff it, and we'll jump in now and we'll show you how we do it. So let's jump in.
Hey guys, I'm Mick from Adamson Auto Body. Before I buff this car, we need to pretty much go over it, and that's what Pops is doing as well. We're going over it with 3000 grit now. The reason why we need to do that on these cars is because if we leave any fine scratches from the 2000 grit, sometimes they can be really hard to buff out. So we're going over it now with 3000, and we're just making sure that we've got those fine scratches out before we start to buff this car. We have to be super careful, because if we don't, we can run into a lot of trouble and we will need to repaint this car. So welcome back to this episode. This episode's all about buffing the Tirana and getting that show look on the car.
Okie doke, so I'm running across the back of this spoiler, and if you can see it, all you car guys will know what it is. It's a rear spoiler. It sits on the boot like that, and it has to look really nice on that black. So the reason why it has to look really nice, and I'm going to make it look nice, is I'm using the 3000 grit. I don't want any scratches in it. I've used the 2000 already to chop it down a little bit. Now the 3000 grit that I'm using, when we buff the car up, it should have no imperfections in that black paint, especially black. It shows any little imperfection when it's gloss, like this will be. So when I buff it, or Mick buffs it, we don't want any problems with scratches, little marks. So we're using the 3000 paper to finish with, which should eliminate any problems, especially on a black car or black paint. At the moment I'm using that, as I said, the 3000 to bring that up really nice. I want it super smooth. No imperfections. Want to be able to hit that with the buff, so when it goes back on the car, it really highlights the boot and the back end of the car. It's got to blend, that black has to blend down off there into that black, and that is now a really nice finish. So that's got to buff up to look like that, and that's what I'm trying to achieve at the moment. So we'll see how it goes when it comes time to buffing. Okay, so the preparation we go through when we're going to buff a car is, we've got several stages we go through to get that real showroom finish, but what we always do before we start to buff a car, thoroughly inspect it, make sure there's no bits and pieces of grit or dirt before we go anywhere near that car with a buff. So we always thoroughly wash, then re-inspect again. But in this case, this car's a brand new paint job, so we don't have to do this on this job. It's already been prepped up ready for the buff, it's a whole nother concept. So that's the way we go about it. We start with a very thorough inspection, then we work towards the buffing process. Let's pop over and check the bonnet out. First panel that Mick started to buff. Let's go over and see how it's coming up. So this car's been cut back with 3000 grit paper. So now we go to the next phase, and that's the tools we use to get that finish on the car. So I've got a Roops buff here, very old buff, but a very good buff. It works at an excellent speed. It's not too fast, not too slow. It's really good for polishing. And you know, when you're on big panels like your boots, your quarters, your turret, beautiful for that. Then you've got this little one here, little Shimano. It's almost like a little toy, but very, very handy in small, awkward spots. Like for instance, along the top of that quarter panel or the edge of that spoiler there, you can get in there in awkward spots and not burn through on edges, which is very important. And also it's air, and you can regulate that air. You can have it very slow or a bit quicker, depending where you're buffing. So they are some of the bits and pieces that we use. There's different pads to go with these buffs. We go through a three-stage process on the pads. We go from a coarse to a medium to a fine as we finish, and different compounds as we go. So now we're onto the buff pad side of it. So I've got 3 different pads here, and you're probably wondering what does what. So the orange one, that's a coarse cut. That's your initial cut that you start with. Then you move to the second stage, which is this white one, or almost a light orange if you like, but they're generally white. So that's your second stage. You come off that one to that one, and then the third one is the black pad. That is your final stage for your real nice fine finish and polish at the end. There are different styles in these pads, of course. These are the style that we use. You can get what's known as a waffle pad to finish with. Completely different to this one, but it achieves a lovely finish. But they're the pads, and that's the process we go through with the actual polishing. Okay, so now we're into the compounds, that side of the whole job. So we start with this one here. This is our little secret sauce, our own concoction. That's our initial coarse cut. So we start with that one.
The next step is I need to do the stage 2. Now I use a different buffing compound and also a different pad. So I've used the coarse cutting compound to start with, and then this pad I'm going to swap it with a softer polishing pad. So the next step's really important because it leaves that really beautiful finish on the car. So we need to do that on the turret first. I like to do the turret first before I go into the side of the cars, because when you're doing the turret first, all the compound can go off the side onto the car. We've got a lot of work to do just yet. I can't wait till we start the side of the car and we start buffing down the side. As you can see from this angle of the car, the lineup is absolutely mint. So when that's buffed, man, oh man, she's gonna be an absolute beautiful car when she's done.
Okay, so buffing techniques. Number one, we like to overlap as we do our passes each time with our different compounds. And as you go through your different grades of compounds, as I said earlier, we change our buffs and we watch, and we're very mindful about the heat, that you do not want to generate too much when you're buffing. Don't get too excited in the one area. And also along edges like here, for instance. Always be mindful with your technique that you don't get too excited and burn through an edge, and especially down the side of a panel. It can happen very quickly if you're not concentrating, especially if you're using a coarse cut. Before you know it, you've taken a layer of paint off. But our techniques are slow but sure, and in the end you'll see that gloss come up, and a common sense approach to it all. It works great in the end.
Stage 3 is done on the turret, it's buffed. Now, what we're going to do is jack the car up so we can buff down the driver's side. So I'm going to continue on into the quarter panel and then make my way along the side all the way to where Dad's buffed the nose cone. I'm going to cover that up. We don't want to get any compound in between these areas. And then we'll do the left-hand side, passenger side. So as you can see, the roof's buffed. Now, that job's out of the way, which is really good because it's always the biggest pain in the butt to buff up, to be honest, because it's such a big panel.
Okay, a few of the do's and don'ts when you're actually buffing or you've buffed the car. Number one, when you're buffing, when that pad starts to get down a little bit, we instantly discard them in the bin, they'll start to scratch. Number two, we never ever stray away from the proper buffing automotive materials like Windex or anything like household detergent, any of that sort of gear. It can strip away some of the material, destroy paint if you like in places. Number three, never ever buff a car in direct sunlight. That's a big no-no. It just does not work. You can really make a mess of a paint job. And I think importantly too, not to forget in the end, make sure when you've done the buffing and the polishing, clean any excess like in openings or under edges or anywhere on the car. Clean that off, because what it can tend to do is be a little bit acidic and stain into the paint. So thoroughly clean it with a microfiber when you're finished, inspect it, and if you want to go a little bit further, as I say there earlier, on another stage, then you can hand wax, and that should come up absolutely beautiful.
Okay, the quarter panel's buffed. Now what we need to do is keep moving along the side on the car. So that already looks like a mirror. So what we need to do is stage 1 on the door. We used the stage 2 setup. So we've done the compound and the pad, all stage 1. So we're going to do that with the door now and the guard. And then after that, we go over the whole thing again with stage 2.
So on summary, if you follow that process and you buff a car the way we do it, that's the result that you should achieve. You should get that absolute mirror finish, showroom look when it's done without too many dramas. So I'm Daryl from Adamson Auto Body. Hopefully that'll help you guys on your journey through buffing a car, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Cheers.